Welcome to episode 200 of the weekly shared security show. And joining me is the lovable and always entertaining Mr. Kevin Johnson.
The lovable.
I'm going to say that every time now.
Did you just call me cuddly?
Sure. Cuddly, lovable. Yeah. All of those things.
I'll go with it.
That's
I don't know
right.
if my wife would always agree, but.
Well, I'm here with Kevin. Unfortunately, Scott is at a conference, so he's unable to join us for this milestone episode 200. But I'm glad I have you, Kevin, because otherwise it would just be me.
I say what we do is every single thing we talk about, we'll just say, and Scott, your opinion is, and then wait.
That's a great idea. We will do that. So yeah, I can't believe it's 200 episodes of the weekly show. And if you add our monthly show, it's about 316 episodes that we've recorded.
All seriousness, I enjoy doing this with you, but the accomplishment that you and Scott have done to get it to this point is incredible.
And you've been here for about half of that.
I just always just feel like I'm tagging along. You guys really run it, and you do so much for this podcast. All seriousness, I thank you.
Oh, thanks.
You should be proud of what you've accomplished.
I am pretty proud. It's a labor of love. Yes, labor of love. But yeah, so in fact, I was looking back, and I think you were on episode 3 of the podcast. Way back when this was the social media security podcast.
That sounds right.
We had you on.
Yeah.
So you go way back to the beginnings as well.
I think you just called me old again.
I did. I did call you old. So, so let's get on with it here with episode 200. And I wanted to start with the FBI email system compromise, who sent a fake alert out. So that was interesting. It was actually sent a lot of spam email messages out, apparently in a smear campaign against is he a researcher? Vinny Troia? He's that name sounds familiar to me.
It sounds really familiar, and I can't place it, but I'm old and suck at remembering names. The part I laugh about this is when I first read what the attack was.
Yeah.
I laughed because I thought that's a honeypot.
Totally.
There's no way the FBI deployed a system, and I know more than likely it was a contractor that the government paid way too much money to do it. But there is no way that in 2021 the FBI has a system that when you register for an account, it sends you an email, but the subject line and the body of the email is a parameter submitted by the user. There's no way. Back when I originally wrote 542, and it was a 4-day class, we're talking in the prehistoric days of the web. One of the exercises we did was that attack. That's how old this is, right? And I'm not saying, oh, Kevin's a genius and looked into the future. No, it was an old attack then. What the heck?
Yeah.
Whoever built this for the FBI needs to investigate. But that's just awful.
Yeah, and just to be clear too, it wasn't like the FBI's entire corporate email system that was compromised. It was the law enforcement enterprise portal system, apparently.
Well, so it wasn't even a compromise of an email system.
No,
it was like I kind of implied. You wanted to apply for membership into the portal, whatever, an account for the portal. You registered for an account, and you would get an email that would say you've registered for the account, and here's this information about your account that we're going to approve or disapprove or whatever it is. And the problem was the contents of that email, the subject and the body, were actually part of that submission for an account. So the web browser got a form. You filled it in and you submitted it, and along with that submission was the subject and the body of the message that you were going to get back. And the attacker just changed the subject and the body and put the email address of the account they were registering for the person they wanted to have receive that email. And the worst part is, this is, in all seriousness, this is why years ago I stopped telling people check the headers of emails to see if it's spam or phishing or whatever, because the headers of this were the FBI's mail system.
Yep.
Right? Because the FBI's mail system accepted mail from this website and passed it on and trusted it because it came from an FBI application. And so anybody looking at this, you get this message. The messages I saw, the majority of them were things like, there's an attacker in your network. We're not going to be able to get to you for 4 hours or something like that, which I don't even know what.
Like, his name is Vinny Troia.
Yeah. And we're coming after you. Well, they're probably going to destroy your infrastructure by then. I'm like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah.
And it was bad. It was bad. They looked at the headers and it came from the FBI. I can imagine people being really freaked. I know that if I got, because all joking aside, right? We've often called it IDS by FBI, right? When law enforcement notifies you that your systems have been compromised, and that's your initial notification, how do you run an intrusion detection system? Yes, I run the one called FBI, and they'll let me know. It's not as good as Snort, but
pretty good though.
No, it's not.
Kidding.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. This was a good one. I will acknowledge the fact that I giggled way longer than I should have giggled at this attack.
Well, and that's how a lot of these attacks are. They're just like, really?
Yeah.
This wasn't like some great hack, that you would think. This is
they didn't burn 10 0 days chained together to get access. No, this was something that could get pulled off by using the developer tools in your browser.
That's hacking. That's right.
Yeah, this is one of those simple ones, and I just and again, this is where I go back to, and we've talked about this. You've said this. This is like, how did this make it to production? And I don't mean how did the developer make this mistake. They make mistakes. People screw up. How did this get through what I would hope would be an onerous procurement process and an onerous deployment process, right? Like every bit of your SDLC should be developed to stop this specific thing.
I feel like it's like a legacy system issue.
I don't know that that's true, and the only reason I say that is what I read was that this system is a newer system, which is why this hasn't happened before. Now I don't know that that's true, but that while yes, this portal has been around for a while, this functionality was relatively new. And again, I'm repeating what I read. I would. And I lean toward believing it only because I can't imagine if the FBI had this portal online for that long that this hadn't happened before, right? Like, this is such an easy attack that I just can't believe somebody wouldn't have exploited it previously.
Right.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
I'm sure they're doing a thorough investigation now. I mean, they're the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation.
It's funny. They don't have to call the police. And
it's true.
Oh, man. This one was a good one. This was fun.
Yep.
I will say that this just reiterates the belief that the government doesn't quite do it right.
No.
Man, I don't know.
What does it mean to go off the grid? Well, for most of us that are constantly relying on our phones, tablets, and laptops, it means shutting them off and doing some other activity like enjoying nature or spending time with friends and family. Now, you're probably a lot like me and struggle with turning off or putting down that smartphone because we always feel the need to be constantly connected. Listen, it's hard to go off the grid, but the good news is that there are products that can help. So that's why I recommend using a silent Faraday bag which can instantly block all wireless signals, quickly taking you off the grid and giving you back control of your wireless devices. Check out their full product line at slnt.com. And because you listen to this podcast, make sure you use discount code SHAREDSECURITY at checkout to receive 10% off your order.
You want your organization to be secure and compliant and to have a healthy culture. But your employees' lack of awareness makes you vulnerable to data theft, fraud, and compliance penalties. It's frustrating that the boring, static training content that's being used today has failed to improve employees' ability to defend against cyber attacks. At ClickArmor, we know that without using gamification, it's extremely hard to get staff to understand how to avoid threats. Our gamified simulations and challenges have provided a 50% average improvement in thousands of employees' ability to spot phishing threats. Go to clickarmor.ca/sharedsecurity to get your free gamified phishing assessment for up to 500 employees. You'll see quickly how gamified simulations can help your team be more resilient and compliant and help avoid costly ransomware and fraud incidents. Let ClickArmor help you go from being an underappreciated, stressed out fall guy to being an innovative leader who's the catalyst for greater productivity in your organization.
No. So the next story here is a article about some research. I think this was given out at Black Hat Europe, which just took place. Title here is How to Negotiate with Ransomware Attackers. And I know we've had this conversation before about, don't pay the ransom, negotiation really doesn't work, all these other things. And I actually thought this research was kind of interesting. First of all, the one person from NCC Group, one of the researchers, his name is Pepin Hack. Just having the last name of Hack. I think that's pretty awesome.
I don't know. I picked my last name, so I could have done better.
Well, anyway, Mr. Hack they had looked at about 700 negotiations between 2019, 2020, and they created this data set basically of different types of things that factored into a negotiation, whether the ransom price, kind of any economic factors that might have been involved. So there was definitely some data that they looked at, and then they put together some advice around if you're going to go into a negotiation with ransomware. Number one, he said that the best method is to be kind. Which I found was interesting. I was like, don't go in there with guns blazing, threatening and things like that, but to be nice and cordial when you're asking for your data back.
Yeah. Like, could you not keep it?
Yeah.
I found this really interesting from a perspective of, I don't believe there was any one of the recommendations that I read and thought, man, I never would have thought of that. And I'm not, bear with me because I feel like I'm saying, whoa, it's so obvious. I don't. That's not what I'm saying. Every single thing in hindsight, I look at and go, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what I really liked about this was they backed it up with actual measurements.
They did. Yeah.
Right. Like it wasn't just, hey, I was nice to them. Like one of the examples was it was a 30 million ransom and they ended up paying $500,000 instead of 30 million. And as a standalone statement, like, well, they were nice and they did this and they got this much of a discount. That's great to hear, but that doesn't mean anything.
You still lost $500,000.
Yeah. So the fact that they were able to say, similar size organization, similar type of ransom, right. And through these actions, we saw this amount of a reduction. That was good. That I really liked, like the statistics behind it helped. Because I'll tell you right now, you go to your executive management and say, look, we need to think about these things when we're in React, and here are the things we should be prepared to do, like being nice. I really liked the idea of, hey, we're willing to pay you, but it's going to take us 30 days to pull that money together.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
let me pay now, I could do, I could do a third of that or something.
Right.
Having that prepped as a plan, right, I think is
great advice. Yeah.
Right. We've talked about that before, right? Don't the worst thing that happened is to get hit with ransomware and then say, man, what are our choices? What is our plan? Right. I know, we do tabletop exercises with organizations about this.
Yep.
We do advisory type stuff. And in every case, people are surprised about the idea that they should have a plan in advance. And it's funny to me because if you said to the same people, what are you going to do if you get hacked? Oh, we got this, we got this, we got this. What are you going to do if there's a disaster? We're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. What are you going to do if you get hit with ransomware? Oh, damn, I don't know.
No idea.
How do you not know that one? And so this article was really good. I still stand by, if you don't have to pay, don't. Paying is a bad option. But if you're gonna pay, and we've said it before, it's a business decision. There's reasons. I can understand the reasons. Follow some of these proposals and do better for yourself, I guess.
And the other thing I'd add too is, don't think that you have to negotiate yourself.
Yep.
I think there are professionals, and I think if you hired an incident response firm that handles ransomware situations like this, they have people that are trained and have the experience that if you do choose to negotiate, don't think that, you have to figure that out on your own. There are people that can do that for you. So,
and talk to your insurance company.
Oh yeah, that's the other
right.
one.
If you've got a cyber liability policy, they probably have people already approved or whatever, or vetted, or however. Talk to them about what to do.
Yep. Good advice. So here is the last story that was designed purposely to get Kevin going, just by the title alone. And so the title here is Bad Santa. Amazon, Facebook top Mozilla's naughty list of privacy crushing gifts.
Could Mozilla stick with just building a browser that works? I'm just curious, right? Could they just focus on what they do? I know this is great. They analyze the privacy of stuff. I looked at this stuff. Like, if you bought a Nordic track that connects to the internet, and you do all this stuff, and you're surprised that it tracks stuff when you bought it as a tracker,
isn't that the purpose?
Seriously. And in the article, they talk about, and I think it was Nordic Track, it was why it stuck in my head. They said, well, they call you even if you're on the do not call list. And I want to point out, as somebody who is a huge proponent of being on the do not call list, let's not talk about how angry it makes me that we have to have one and it doesn't work. If you buy something from a company, it doesn't matter if you're on the do not call list. According to the law here in the US, they're allowed to call you. Why? Because you have a business relationship with them. And we can argue whether that's valid or good or should be the way it is, but that's the law. Mm-hmm. So Mozilla saying, well, they call you even if you do not call us, is a straw man. That is this distraction of bad privacy, and they'll call you. So will your grandmother. But it's like, come on. I don't know. I looked at the list, and there were some things on there that I looked at and went, yeah, okay, I could see they're not doing everything I'd like them to do. I'm a big fan of Samsung products. I have a Samsung phone. I'm not pimping a product. They were listed as bad, right?
Right.
And when I bought the Samsung products, and this does not excuse how much privacy they take away and everything else like that, but I went through a whole bunch of steps where they said to you, hey, this is stuff we collect, this is what we do. And I know I'm the weirdo that reads that stuff. But when I set up my phone, there was probably 10 different places where I was able to say, no, don't do that, please. And yes, it had to be 10, whereas it should be the opposite. I believe it should be the opposite. Like, let me turn it on if I want. But I find lists like this, all that they are. I would not be surprised if every link to the Nordic track was an affiliate link that paid Mozilla money back. And if it's not, it should be.
Interesting.
Yeah. All it is
they have
a list of cool gadgets.
Yeah. I mean, they have this whole site that you can, and we'll have this linked in the show notes, where you can go and search for the products that they looked at. And then they'll give you, I mean, some of these things aren't even, I would technically call it gifts, or they put Signal on that. Like, hey, I'm going to gift you Signal for Christmas.
WebEx was on it.
I know.
Let me be very clear. If you buy me, whoever you are that's listening, if you buy me a subscription to WebEx, I'm hunting you down. Okay? Because all that you have done, the only way you could be worse is to buy me a subscription to Zoom. But that's not a gift. Signal isn't a gift.
You could buy me a Roomba, though. I'll take one of those.
I have a Roomba. So don't buy me one.
Okay, so don't buy him. It's Kevin a Roomba, but yeah. So
we're still getting. I've told you about the random things that keep showing up at the office, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yep.
We just got another one. Here's what I get. I know it's a joke. I know somebody's giggling about sending us random stuff. We just got a coffee mug that says, "I keep my dad jokes in a dad-a-base." It made me laugh. But here's the thing.
Wow.
Somebody is sending us all this stuff and not getting the enjoyment of laughing with us about what they're getting. And I suspect all of the gifts are somehow on this list. It's nuts. It's totally nuts.
Do you have an example of something you got recently? Did you get something recently? Did you get something recently that you haven't talked about on the show?
So the database one, the other one we just got within the last few weeks, we got a Hole CD. Do you remember the band Hole?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't remember her name. Courtney Love?
Yeah, Courtney Love, yeah.
Yeah. So they sent us a Hole CD. Now I laugh because I don't have a CD player anymore. Haven't had one for years. But here's the funny part. They ordered it from an Irish CD store.
Irish?
So they paid customs to import the Hole CD.
That's probably expensive.
I know.
You got VAT tax and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Jeez.
As a joke. And we now have a
really
Hole CD downstairs.
Wow. Someone really, really wants to not impress you. I'm not really sure.
So far, I giggled. The staff is laughing. We got this stuff scattered around the office. If you ever come to the office, you'll see little tiny Uno cards and really big poker cards. Oh. Both randomly anonymously sent to us.
Wow.
It's odd. So, oh man, that's think stuff. Right. That was the last story, right?
Yeah, that was the last story. So,
oh man, I can't believe the 200th episode has been over so soon.
I know. I can't believe it's only lasted 20 minutes, but we keep going every week. This is a milestone, but hey, for the almost 200th episode, we actually have a store now, so there is that.
I forgot.
Take a second. You can get these cool stickers. So order some stickers if you haven't yet. Yep, you got your sticker. So they make great gifts.
Even anonymously to my office.
Send Kevin a bunch of shared security swag to us.
Don't send
anonymously. There you go.
Oh man.
All right, man. Well, hey, I think that's all for today, but thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening and subscribing and all of that. We wouldn't have made it to 200 episodes without the support of our fans and listeners. We know that you come back every week to listen to Kevin, so much appreciated.
No.
And we'll hopefully get to 400 more here
that's
in a
the
couple
goal.
Of years. So that is the goal. So thank you all. Much appreciated, and we will talk to everyone again next week. That's all for this week's show. Visit our website, sharedsecurity.net, for all previous episodes and to sign up for our email newsletter. Looking for Shared Security merch? Be sure to check out our online store at store.sharedsecurity.net. Don't forget, you can always find us on Twitter at SharedSec, and please hit that like and subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Shared Security Show.